Hey, we're back at the Goose. Today we're going to tie a red can squid fly. Very productive fly right around the Cape and Islands, and also a relatively easy fly to tie. Can be tied in a number of different colors. Today we're going to tie it in orange, hot orange, but it can be tied in pink, red, white, and any other combination really, but it's a very, very effective and productive fly. So let's go shop for the materials. The hook we're going to be using today is an Arex 4/0 Blue Water SA 270. This is a really just a great all-around hook for big game, and I like tying it in 4/0 because it's a nice heavy hook and it'll help keel the fly with a wide gap. For our thread, we're going to be using a Vivus 140 power thread. Great all-around thread for any saltwater ties. We're going to introduce a new product today in our tie. It's Zap Goo. It's a very effective bulletproof saltwater resistant glue, which is great for tying eyes on and a lot of different applications. But the main thing about it is it's flexible glue and extremely saltwater resistant, and it'll make the fly that we're going to tie very, very, give it a lot of longevity. For our eyes today, we're going to be using a fish skull 15 millimeter living eye. You can't really have too big an eye on these squid flies. It makes a great target and a great trigger for the striper. For our body material, we're going to be using a Steve Farrar bleeding orange. And for the wing material, we're going to be using a Steve Farrar hot orange. Okay, let's go tie the fly. Okay, so we're going to start this fly by putting on a nice thread base. And we're going to take the thread base all the way back to the hook bend and then beyond. The point of this being that we want to have a good area of thread for the eyes to fasten onto when we glue them on. So legend has it that the way Dave Skoke and Jamie came up with the name of this fly is that they were sitting around tying it, just really creating it, inventing it one night, drinking some adult beverages, and they were drinking Budweiser, and so one of them said, hey, what about calling it the Red Can, after the Budweiser can? Jamie Boyle, that is. All right, so now we're going to put the body material on. And we took a generous hank of the Farrar, blend material. And we're going to tie it back relatively far, all the way to the beginning of the hook bend. I'm going to cut this excess material off here. Okay, we're going to start all over again. Because we didn't want to do that. Okay, we're ready to begin tying our squid fly. First thing we're going to do is put down a thread base, and we're going to go all the way back past the hook bend and about a third of the way down. Okay, I'm going to start that all over again because I freaking can't. I screwed up my nomenclature again. Okay, ready to go again. All right, well, ready to start again. Okay, we're going to start our fly by putting on a generous thread base, and we're going to go back all the way past the beginning of the hook bend and probably a third of the way down the bend. The idea being that we're going to be fastening eyes to the very back of this hook, so we want something for the glue to bite into at the back of the hook. Next thing we're going to do is I've cut a portion of the forearm material. We're going to fix that to the hook on top of the hook, and I like to put one loop around the material in order to keep it on top of the hook. And this doesn't have to be pretty at all because everything is going to get covered up. There we go. The next thing we're going to do is apply the eyes. And I'm using the Zap Goo. And I'm going to put a good amount on each eye. I'll show you just about that much. And we're going to have these eyes placed right back at the hook bend. Second eye. You don't want to use too much glue, but you also want to make sure you have enough glue. And you want the glue to be able to penetrate through all these fibers. And we're going to help that process along by squeezing the eyes together. Now, the Zap Goo takes a little bit of time to dry, so we'll come back in a second after this dries. Okay, we're back. Our glue is dried, our eyes are firmly fixed, and now we're going to go on to the next step, which is just take a length of the filler flash, and we're going to palmer that towards the front edge of the hook. Put our thread back on. The little trick there is if you spin your bobbin, you can get the thread to lay back towards the back of the hook. And we're going to go over the hook shank to begin our palmering process. And we're just going to work these fibers back as we move forward. And again, it doesn't have to be overly pretty. There's going to be plenty of this material. In fact, we'll probably end up having to trim it a little bit. Just continue to work it back. So legend has it that when Jamie Boyle and Dave Skoke invented this fly, they were sitting around drinking adult beverages, and when they wanted to come up with a name for it, they gazed upon the Budweiser can and that they were drinking, and they decided to call it the red can fly. And we'll bring that little bit of at the end back. And then that gives us a nice full front of the fly. Now you can put a little drop of glue if you want there, but we're going to have so many wraps on that we really don't need to do it after we put the next section of the fly on. So for the wing, I've cut a thinner hank of material, and I'm going to overlay it on the top and the bottom of the fly. Take a few wraps just to secure it. Turn that over. Oop. Cut that off first. Turn it over. Tie in another section on the bottom. And now we can firmly put on a bunch of extra wraps. I'm going to cut this little bit of excess off. Helps to have good sharp scissors, as it does with any fly tying. And I'll tie that off. Again, I love this Vivas thread because it really is very strong and you can really cinch your knot up good. And there you have it. There's your red can fly. Now, as I said before, this fly is very versatile. It can be fished as a squid fly. It can be a bait fish pattern. I fish it all summer long in various colors. Last year, red and purple was very productive. Orange is always a go-to. Pink works, white works. Always have each one of those colors in the box, and eventually you're going to find the one that works. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you have fun tying it, and more importantly, I hope you have fun fishing it. Until the next time, tight lines.